Our next speaker, and I need to apologize, this morning when I was going through the agenda, it's easy to slip up with a few things, and I mentioned this person was from India. He's not from India, he's from Sri Lanka. And it's a bit like this morning's conversation I was having with Nico in the car. And I said, what's it like in Sweden these days? And he looked at me and he said, Finland. I'm Finnish. I said, oh. I said, sorry about that. He goes, yeah, you're Irish, aren't you? But he said it with such a straight look. I looked at him and said, no, I'm not Irish. He said, there, exactly. So I've insulted two people this morning already. I apologize. And let's see how the rest of the day goes. Okay, Gearing Up for Excellence is going to be presented by Ranjan De Silva. He's got an extensive background and lots of experience with NLP. How many of you have not heard of NLP? Show of hands. About 50% of the room. Wow. Neuro-linguistic programming sounds very technical to me, but he's going to let us know what that really means and, more importantly, how we can use it in all aspects of our life. A little bit more about him. He's a PGDIP, sounds very clever, in marketing from the Chartered Institute of Marketing UK and an MBA from the Postgraduate Institute of Management in Sri Lanka. He's an accredited trainer in delivering the personal transformational program, Mastery of Self through Neuro-Linguistic Programming and its derivatives. He's an author of Mind Programming for Sales Success and a Better Way to Sell, and his practical experience runs through 2 decades. He has a rich corporate experience, has been a trainer consultant to many big corporates around the world. He's going to try simplify a lot of his teachings so it can add value to every single person in the room. Can you please welcome to the stage Ranjan De Silva.
I would need 100 days of training to teach you about what I know about NLP, but I have 30 minutes to do so. And as I was thinking, how do I summarize this? Mark Twain came to my mind, who said, I wrote a long letter because I did not have the time to write a short one. Because to do a short one, it takes so much more time. How many of you here are NLP practitioners? Can I have a show of hands, please? Okay. Master practitioners? Okay, great. It's nice to see some of you here. I'm sure you could contribute as you go on. I'm not going to make it technical. In fact, my task is to make it as simple as possible. In terms of simplicity, let me tell you, if you take, say, a television set, when you buy one, do you go out and open up the thing and look inside to see, is the system working right? Is the wiring correct? Are the transmitters fitted in the correct place? No, you don't do that. You will just switch on and switch off. So I'm going to go to the switch on and switch off mode, where I'll teach you some of the tools, and you check and see, okay, does it work? Does it not work? If it works for you, yes, take it. If it doesn't work, just put it aside. And I have a few slides to support me in this presentation. And the first one is about unlimited potential in our DNA. I mean, we've got unlimited potential, and I don't think we need to talk about it. Bob's talked about it a lot. I mean, you look around the world. If you were in a YouTube fan recently, I'm sure you would have noticed or seen the singing sensation Susan Boyle, who came up from nowhere. And that was so much potential hidden within her. And you talk about musicians. Last night we were at the show by the 2 Pakistani singers, and that was amazing at the Palladium in the Media City. And the amount of talent and the passion which comes through them. You look at sports people. I mean, those people who achieved the Olympics 100-meter gold medal, or take the musicians like Pavarotti or some teachers. Have you ever been to a class and where you really loved that teacher? You just wanted to keep going back to this teacher. Have you ever seen these teachers? And I'm sure you would have noticed that when you keep going back to those teachers, you would get some of the best results possible. Now, I don't have to talk too much about unlimited potential. It is in our DNA. I come from a country which is known for the 3 T's. The first one is T, Ceylon tea. The second one is tourism. And more recently, terrorism. Hopefully, the final one is out of the way. And talking about tourism, I mean, elephants are something about Sri Lanka. In fact, Gautam was talking to me. He had been there last week. He's gone to Pinnavara, the elephant orphanage. Let me tell something which we may not realize. The baby elephant is tied with a chain. And this elephant cannot break the chain because physically it is weak. But something that we don't realize is that even when the elephant is fully grown, it is still tied with the same chain. Scientifically, it is well proven that this chain can be easily broken. Because elephants do, topple those trees and pull the rocks around, but it does not break that tiny little chain. May I know from someone in the audience, why do you think it cannot break that chain? It's conditioned, it's programmed. So the DNA was such that you got so much of energy and potential, but because of our conditioning, because of our programming, we are not able to break that chain. It only will take a disaster, maybe a fire which takes off, and suddenly the elephant gets excited and starts struggling, pulls the leg, and by accident it learns that this chain can be broken. And ladies and gentlemen, don't we sometimes need that fire under us to break that chain, those chains that hold us back? So let's see how NLP or neuro-linguistic programming can help us in breaking this chain. What is NLP? Any guesses? Neuro? Nervous system? Linguistics? Is language programming? Is like programming a computer. So neuro-linguistic programming is the language or the software for programming our brain. NLP was discovered about 40 years ago by two scientists by the names of Richard Bandler and John Grinder. Richard Bandler was a Gestalt psychologist. John Grinder was a software programmer. The two of them were working on their PhD. Don't get too excited about the PhD because the PhD stands for partial head damage. Once when I told this in an audience, there was one participant who looked highly excited, and I asked, what's the problem? And he said, I got a boss who is a PhD and you're slightly wrong. And I thought maybe I offended him. And I asked, what do you mean? He said he's permanently head damaged. Anyway, these two gentlemen were working on the PhD, and the PhD was about finding out the reason for excellence. In order to find out the reason for excellence, they modeled top performers like teachers, clergy, psychotherapists, sportsmen, and they looked at their behaviors, they looked at their thinking patterns, and this entire study gave way to the science of NLP. However, since it is still very new, it has not been completely accredited or recognized. There's still a lot of controversy behind NLP. But what I'll do is I'll teach you some of the tools which if you think you can make use of, you can work on it. Now, what does NLP do? One area, we heard about it earlier, about visualization. NLP helps people to visualize success. NLP helps people to channel their lives in the manner and the way they want it to go.